Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. And welcome to the very first in season episode for this year of Around the Slice. I am extremely excited. Like I've said before, I love off season content, how creative we can get with covering free agency, the draft, OTAs, mandatory training camp, and then ending it with training camp and preseason, stuff like that. But there's something really, really special about games that matter, games that have stakes in the actual start of the regular season, fantasy football, all the statistics that go with it. It's really, really awesome. Now, I do have not a disclaimer, but a quick update for you guys. I was going to give you guys, like I've done for the past 2 years on this podcast, a full 2024 Buffalo Bills season preview, but I had a personal matter to attend to last week and into this week, so that obviously was not going to happen. But in place of that, I am going to go game by game at the end of this episode. And at the end of this episode of Around the Slice, give you my full 2024 record prediction for the Buffalo Bills this year. So look forward to that before we get out of here today with you guys. But today we are previewing Bills Cardinals. Let's just jump right in right away with the broadcast information. The Buffalo Bills will be, and how you can watch it, that means. The Buffalo Bills will be hosting the Arizona Cardinals in Orchard Park, New York, on Sunday, September 8th at 1 o'clock p.m. Again, that is in Orchard Park. Bills hosting Cardinals Sunday, September 8th, 1 o'clock p.m. Locally on CBS. I can't wait. Let's just get into the actual key factors. I have 3 keys for the Bills offense, 3 keys for the Bills offense, and then a handful of actual game predictions that I have specific player predictions on both sides of the ball on on both teams, the Bills and Cardinals, that I want to deliver for you guys. So again, first, let's start with 3 keys for the Bills offense. And if you have something else that you're keeping an eye on, or throughout I talk about this, other keys that you're keeping in touch with, then feel free to drop down in the comments below. If you are on YouTube, or if you're not on YouTube and listen on audio platform, I greatly appreciate that. But I would highly encourage you to come over to the YouTube, and I love interacting with you guys in the comments. So there's that. But my 3 keys for the Bills offense, in no particular order, just some generalized statements here. Just be be smart with the football. Like, no heroics. You guys know who I'm talking about here. Josh Allen. Come on. We cannot have what we had last year with Josh Allen, where he has 4 total turnovers, three interceptions against um 3 interceptions against the Jets and 1 fumble against the Jets. So, like I just said, 4 total turnovers. Now, we have had the thing before quite a few times last year where there was Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, and some other receivers where it bounced off their hands and then just unlucky interception or tipped the line. Like, no, these are all on Josh Allen last year. As sad as to say for the franchise QB, and unfortunate is to say for the franchise quarterback, but it is what it is. Like, I want to hammer this home. There is absolutely zero reason to throw an interception against the Cardinals. Number one, because it's the Cardinals. You should not have to feel like you have to put a cape on your back. And number two, to carry this team. And number two, their defense sucks. Like, they only have 2, to put it candidly, like, they only have 2 good to great players on their defense. Safeties, Buda Baker, who honestly hasn't been good in 2 or 3 years now, and safety Jalen Thompson, who looked like a rising star in this league, kind of plateaued off a couple 2 or 3 years ago, like Buda Baker. Other than that, it's awful. I like the 2 or 3 corners they have in that secondary, but they're all young. It's all second or third year players. I don't think the leadership is very good over there. So there's absolutely, for a multitude of reasons, mainly because the Cardinals defense is pretty garbage. I'm sorry, but it is, that Josh Allen needs to throw even a single interception. And I'm going to get this in a minute, but like, I don't even know if he'll have a chance to throw an interception just because of the volume of pass attempts. Like, I'm not looking for Josh Allen to throw the ball a whole ton in this game. Like, this is the Cardinals. So I don't know about that. Next key for the Bills offense, control the clock. I'm looking for the running backs to step up. James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, Reggie Gilliam maybe for that pass protection role and insert blocker role. Maybe Curtis Samuel gets a few jet sweeps or true handoffs. I don't know. But control the clock because the Cardinals are going to be trying to do the same thing. As much as we think of the Arizona Cardinals as this downfield passing attack, they want to create explosives with Kyler Murray, and who's insane arm talent, and with his legs. As much as we think they want to create explosives down, all these, explosives downfield with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., that will take 2 or 3 games to get in the mix. What we forget is the Cardinals' identity for the last handful of years has been running the ball, pounding the rock, whether it's with Kyler Murray himself or James Conner or Trey Benson now in the mix, which, side note, I drafted him on a fantasy draft this year as a handcuff to James Conner, whether I had James Conner or not. I made fantasy teams because I just love the landing spot for Trey Benson. But actual football here, besides the point, their identity kind of misrepresented with people. Like, they want to pound the rock through and through. So as much as we think of them as downfield explosives with the new weapons they added, they want to pound the rock, and I think that's what they're going to try to do. This will be kind of a standoff match, if you will. Like, who's going to have more time of possession with the running backs? Who's going to run the ball more? Is it going to be James Conner or Trey Benson with the Cardinals and Kyler Murray, I guess? Or is it going to be Josh Allen, Ray Davis, and not really Ty Johnson? Josh Allen, Ray Davis, and James Cook with the Buffalo Bills. I don't know, but control the clock because Cardinals will be trying to do that as well. Like I said, I don't know if I want Josh Allen throwing a whole ton of pass volume this game, so that's why I say pound the rock and control the clock. Next, final one. Again, please feel free if you have more talking points to discuss or more keys that you're keeping an eye on or some players you keep an eye on, please feel free to drop them down in the comments below on YouTube. Spread the ball around to multiple offensive weapons. This is easier said than done, but we all know this with the departure of Gabe Davis and especially the huge departure in Stephon Diggs. The Bills are going wide receiver by committee, and everyone's freaking out about that, even some Bills fans, and I'm not. Like, I think it's a good thing. Like, Josh Allen doesn't need the ball to force the ball 150 times to Stephon Diggs like player. Spread the ball around. Get everybody involved because no one will know what's coming if you get everybody involved, especially week 1. There's no tape on how all these guys gel together. Spread it to Ray Davis, James Cook. But in the receiving game, if Josh Allen is going to pass flat, which again, I don't think he will, but if he is, get Dalton Kincaid and Khalil Shakir going. But get those ancillary pieces going like Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins for some downfield shots, Keon Coleman, Dawson Knox as a true red zone threat. And people forget about Dawson Knox, and I was his biggest critic last year as well. Whether he was injured or not, he had like a ton of drops. He kind of went back to his first couple of years in the league where he had severe drop problems. So we got to fix that. But like, the truth of the matter is Josh Allen still trusts him in the red zone. And like, Khalil Shakir doesn't have the biggest red zone build. Probably won't get a lot of red zone / end zone targets. Keon Coleman's a rookie. I think they're going to kind of slow play him, if you will. Mac Hollins, career special teamer, maybe provides a little bit more. MVS, good for 1 or 2 deep bombs a game. Dalton Kincaid only had 2 receiving touchdowns a year. Can that get up to 5 or 6 last year as a rookie? Can that get up to 5 or 6 touchdowns? Sure. And they don't really have a goal line back other than Ray Davis to give the ball to. And I don't want Josh Allen taking all those rushing attempts to put his body in the line, literally and figuratively. So he trusts Dawson Knox in the red zone. That's within the 20-yard line, obviously, and inward from there. So get everybody involved, not just the stars, and don't get James Cook and Khalil Shakir. Get those ancillary pieces involved as well, assuming Curtis Samuel can play, which I think he will fight through that turf toe injury. Keys for Beals. Keys. Wow, I can't talk. Keys for the Buffalo Bills defense against the Arizona Cardinals offense. Get home on Kyler Murray with pass rush. This is easier said than done. One of my predictions in a bit later on in this episode has to do with key pass rusher in this game, starting rotational. We'll see. But I want these guys to get like home on Kyler Murray. Their offensive line is much improved. I really like how they got Jonah Williams to play left tackle and free agency and right tackle, Paris Johnson Jr., although Jonah Williams is playing right tackle. Paris Johnson Jr. is playing left tackle. So they're kind of flip-flopping positions there from where they were last year, respectively. But get home on Kyler Murray. And these mobile quarterbacks, Bills pass rush struggles against these mobile quarterbacks. They always have them hemmed in, but they can never finish. They can never get actual sack production. They get QB pressures, they get QB hits, but they can never finish and actually bring them to the ground. And especially a guy like Kyler Murray, who's not the biggest guy in the world, literally because he's 5'9", he's going to look to take off if his first read isn't there, if his second read isn't there. If Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. are locked up by our corners and linebackers, then that defensive line, Greg Rousseau, Von Miller, AJ Peneza, maybe even Dwan Smoot, Casey Tua or Javon Selman, whoever's active between the two, especially Ed Oliver as well, they're going to have to get home. I don't want to just see QB pressures. I don't want to just see QB hits. Bring Kyler Murray to the ground because he's going to be looking to take off with his legs a whole bunch, I feel like. Because if his top weapons, if his first couple reads or second read isn't there in Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, he's going to look to take off. If they're not running it with James Conner, that rushing production will come from Kyler Murray. And they've always, for the last handful of years, especially the last 2 or 3 years, give or take, the Arizona Cardinals have always been top 5 in the league in rushing production, believe it or not. So Kyler Murray, you got to get him hemmed in. You actually got to get him to the ground. I'm hammering this point home because the Bills are known for getting close to near sacks, but then letting him escape at the last second. And especially against mobile QBs, they struggle, especially that defensive line. And Kyler Murray, I don't really respect him in the passing game, but I respect him in the rushing game. He is truly special on the ground. Next, key for Bills defense. This is very straightforward. This is a matchup scheme specific thing. Double team Marvin Harrison Jr. We can worry about Trey McBride with the linebackers, maybe safeties buzz down. But whether it's Christian Benford and Rasul Douglas or Christian Benford and Taron Johnson, whatever two players it is, I need Marvin Harrison Jr. double team. Because like the Bills, I don't think the Cardinals and Kyler Murray are going to have a ton of passing volume, have a ton of passing attempts in this game. But when they do, on 3rd and long, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, you're going to want to double team Marvin Harrison Jr. I know it's his first game in the NFL, but he is a generational talent. I've gone on record and said like everyone has, that he's the best wide receiver coming out of college since the AJ Green and Julio Jones year. Those two were generational. Marvin Harrison Jr. is even a tad better than Jamar Chase, I feel. Justin Jefferson. That's what we're looking at. So double team Marvin Harrison Jr. I want 2 guys that can cover space, 2 guys that are for sure tacklers if he gets the ball. The thing with Marvin Harrison Jr. is, if you want to even call it a flaw, quote unquote, is he doesn't provide much run after catch ability. I don't really see that as a flaw, but that's one thing that he doesn't really provide. He's gonna kind of improve on, but he's like I said, generational perfect prospect, however you want to look at it and term it. 2 guys, preferably. You don't want to use 2 top corners, so maybe it is Christian Benford / Rasul Douglas, or Christian Benford and Taron Johnson, or even Rasul Douglas and Taron Johnson. But this is very matchup player for player specific, double team Marvin Harrison Jr. 3rd and last key, don't let Arizona control the game with James Conner. What did I say before? I think it's kind of misrepresented what the Cardinals want to do this year, but they're true to their form. They're always tough in the league in rushing production, like I mentioned. Obviously, they have James Conner. I love the fit with Trey Benson. Kyler Murray is going to take off a ton. You can't let James Conner, and to a lesser extent Trey Benson, but maybe let James Conner control the clock, chew the clock, have a clear advantage of time and possession, and kind of tear you up on the ground. Because the Bills' defense, especially 2 years ago, the run defense is very leaky. Last year it was okay. It was middle of the pack, I'd say. But I would love for the Bills' run defense to be top 10 or even top 15, I take, this year. I know it's not going to be top 5, but top 10 mainly, 8 to 10. Give or take somewhere in there. That would be really, really special, I feel like. And I feel like we have the horses up front, if you will, do that. Ed Oliver, greatly improved against the run. Daquan Jones, elite against the run. Austin Johnson, who's going to be the back of one tactic, Daquan Jones, who can just eat up blockers, amazing against the run. Not amazing, great against the run. Dwayne Carter, he's kind of more of a Ed Oliver backup, but he can also stop the run and rush the passer, both equally at a high level. I'm really, really excited. I even love, if you want to elevate Elianku like for this game. I know they're not going to, but like I even love that as like a fringe roster option, like as a practice squad option. I don't think they're going to elevate anyone for this game. Probably just Mike White, because as we all know, for a couple weeks now, Mitchell Trubisky's out for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, most likely, I assume. So Mike White will be elevated for the first 2 or 3 weeks from the practice squad, which is fine because honestly, neither of them have a high ceiling, but like Mitchell Trubisky is so tough to watch. Like everything looks very hard for him out there. So I honestly like Mike White just a lot more than Mitchell Trubisky. But that's besides the point. Third and final key for the Bills defense was keep James Conner hemmed in, if you will. Don't let him control the clock like the Bills are going to be trying to do. Like I said, this game is going to be a standoff. The Cardinals are going to want to slow it down. The Cardinals are not going to want to give Josh Allen the ball over and over. The Cardinals are going to try to make it 2 or 3 yards in a cloud of dust game with James Conner, and then maybe late, if, since James Conner is 31 now and a veteran, maybe Trey Benson comes in. But keep these runners hemmed in: Trey Benson, Kyler Murray, and most importantly, James Conner. Now, players of the game predictions. I predict offense player of the game for the Bills and defense player of the game for the Bills. Offense, James Cook. Like I said, I want the Bills to run the ball a ton in this game, control the clock, chew the game. I look for James Cook to be equally as involved in the passing game, maybe more so the rushing game. But in the passing game, he has a lot of holes there. I know he's not going to see the field for pass protection. That's Reggie Gillen's role, hopefully, and Ray Davis's role, most likely. Actually, I know it is. James Cook, like, it's kind of embarrassing how bad he is. Embarrassingly bad in pass protection. Sorry, but it is. But for the receiving game itself, like, we can't have last year where for the last 4 games in a row, James Cook be dropping. He's dropping 4 wide open touchdown passes in a row, 4 games in a row, like 10 in the year. We can't have that. So maybe he's not as involved in the receiving game, and that's Ray Davis because the coaching staff knows that. But you know Sean McDermott, he'll pull you if you make a mistake, a fumble, a drop, like the Denver Broncos game. Very first play of the game, James Cook fumbled. What was it, week 10 last year or something? In early November, mid-November, I should say rather. I think it was. But I say James Cook, offensive player of the game prediction, because I would love for James Cook to get like 15 to 20 like pure carries and maybe a few more like touches in the receiving game. So I would love to see him get like 22 to 25. That might be too big of a workload for James Cook with this smaller-ish build and lack of pass protection like at all. But 15 to 20 rushing attempts and then 22 to 25 touches in total. So offense player of the game prediction for me is James Cook. Defense player of the game. This might be a little unconventional. I'm not going with any of the defensive stars in the cornerback room, the linebacker room, or really any of the safety room. I'm going with Daquan Jones. I know the popular defensive linemen are Greg Rousseau, Von Miller if he can get bounced back, and Ed Oliver. Like Daquan Jones was like on a tear to begin last season. Like I knew he was an elite run stuffer, but like he was a very great like rushing the pass rusher guy as well. And Daquan Jones, like I said, a key to the game is to stop James Conner. Don't let the Cardinals control the clock. Don't let them keep the ball for an extended period of time. And I feel like Daquan Jones will eat up the run when it's James Conner, and then maybe Trey Benson land the game. But maybe James Conner, I feel like Daquan Jones will kind of shut him down, maybe like keep him under 70, 80 rushing yards, something like that. So I'm going a little unconventional, off the beaten path, if you will, and going Daquan Jones to be my personal defense player of the game prediction for the Bills. 5 game predictions. Now, I have 5 player predictions, and then like my 6th prediction, I guess technically, is my Bills score, this winner and score. These are Underdog Fantasy player props. You can do them right now. Again, I don't do it. Like I can. I'm of legal age, but like I don't do it. I've just kind of stopped. So, first couple are the Bills. James Cook over 62.5 rushing yards. I don't think James Cook is going to make any mistakes this game. I say I don't think because I think he's learned from his mistakes from the end of last year and getting benched by Sean McDermott, specifically in that Denver game. And so he can't afford to make mistakes, or it's going to be like a 1A, 1B situation with Ray Davis. But James Cook over 62.5 rushing yards. I think we're going to control the clock pretty well and pound the rock, if you will, with James Cook. Dawson Knox over 0.5 touchdowns, so basically 1 touchdown. I think Dawson Knox, this might be bold, but I think Dawson Knox even has a chance to get 2 touchdowns in this game. Like I think the first touchdown game will be to Dawson Knox. Like I said, I don't really see any other clear red zone option right now heading into week 1. Like Dalton Kincaid only had 2 receiving touchdowns last year. As much as I love him as a rookie, like James Cook, not that build at all. Ray Davis and Josh Allen can do that short yardage, but like, are they going to be in that short yardage situation from the 1 or 2 yard line, maybe even 3 yard line? Like Khalil Shakir doesn't have to build for that. Matt Collins, is he going to play enough and get enough volume for that? Ken Coleman, they're going to slow play him. So I'm looking at Dawson Knox as a like very trusted, reliable weapon on this team. Like he's the longest tenured however you say that, longest tenured offensive weapon for the Buffalo Bills for Josh Allen back from 2019 on this offense, now without Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. But even if they were still here, it would still be Dawson Knox because he was a rookie in 2019. So Dawson Knox, I think, has a chance to get 2 touchdowns, at least 1, hammering the over on that. For the Cardinals, James Conner over 0.5 touchdowns. Like, this is obviously a goal line back. James Conner is pretty good in the receiving game as well, although that's not what he's known for particularly. Specifically, I should say, rather. But I think they're going to, I've said this 100 freaking times, they're going to pound the ball, pound the ball with James Conner. I really like James Conner. I feel like he's a bit underrated. Yeah, he'll miss 2 or 3 games a year, so that's why you should have Trey Benson in fantasy, side note. But I love James Conner in this offense as much as I don't want him to tear us up because he's a goal line back, he's a receiving back, he's kind of a do-it-all utility, if you will. And he's big for a running back as well, especially for a 31-year-old running back. So he's going to get a touchdown. I think he even has a chance to get 2 touchdowns. Like, I don't know how many passing touchdowns this game that the Cardinals are going to have. They have a chance to get like 0 passing touchdowns and like 2 touchdowns in total, and both of them be rushing, 1 from Kyler Murray scrambling around, and then 1 from James Conner on the goal line or somewhere to something to that effect. Trey McBride over 49.5 receiving yards. Unfortunately, I think Trey McBride, they're not going to match him with Terrell Bernard because they know how elite Terrell Bernard is in coverage. Terrell, I got it mixed up. Terrell Bernard is in coverage. I think they're going to exploit Dorian Williams like a bunch. Like the Patriots did it last year, the Giants did it last year, and then he was benched for Tyler Dotson, who was equally as horrible in coverage. Now he's on the Seahawks to be starting linebacker. Good for them. That's besides the point. I say Trey McBride over 49.5 receiving yards because I think Trey McBride will be the top weapon for this game for the Cardinals when they do pass the ball. I don't think it'll be a ton, but it'll be still a respectable amount. So they're going to take advantage of Dorian Williams. That's why I want a guy to buzz down like as those third safety dime packages. Like remember last year when Jordan Poyer buzzed down because they had to, because Tyrell Dotson's severe coverage limitations. Like Dorian Williams has severe coverage limitations. So with Taylor Rapp and DeMar Hamlin, so it's announced DeMar Hamlin. Kudos to me. I don't want to brag, but I've saying that since May. Since the NFL draft, basically, when we drafted Cole Bishop, that DeMar Hamlin will be the safety. I think like Cole Bishop can do that role. Maybe Kyrie Elam can do that role. I think it's unlikely though. I'm looking for Darren Johnson to do that role down the big dime packages because like he's a mix between a very high level coverage slot corner and like a downfield hammer. I know he's only like 195 pounds. But like he's described as a downfield hammer. So, but unfortunately, Trey McBride over 49.5 receiving yards prop. I would probably be smashing that if I'm a Cardinals fans, or if I'm not even a Cardinals fan, and I'm not. Like, unfortunately, I know my linebackers and Dorian Williams is going to be eaten alive in coverage. That's why I want them to bring in a third safety or just a third play in general. If they want to go dime with Cole Bishop, mainly, I would love for it to be Taron Johnson as Cole Bishop is coming back from injury and picks up the playbook. Now, this might be bold, but I think Von Miller gets a sack on Kyler Murray. I don't know how – I wouldn't say the Cardinals' offensive line is much improved, but it's improved where I actually like it now. Like 2 or 3 years ago, it was a mess. Like they've improved it by signing Jonah Williams to play right tackle, drafting Paris Johnson Jr. to play left tackle, locking up their center in – I can never say his name – Hajolti Frohol, I think it is, for the next 2 or 3 years. So that's really exciting for them. So I think Von Miller gets a sack, though. The best way I want Von Miller to be deployed this year is – long and late downs. It's a specialized pass rusher. Kind of like the way I know Leonard Flores is coming back from a torn ACL at 35 years old. He's 31, but kind of like the way they used Leonard Floyd last year to an extent. Pretty similarly, actually, if I'm being honest. You don't need Von Miller out there for 1st and 10, an obvious running down. Like, preserve him. You don't need that. Like, he doesn't need to be out there on first and down, obvious running down. Second and long, third and long. If they go for it on fourth and long, like, let him tee off against the quarterback. I think it's going to be relatively close in the fourth quarter, so I think he's going to get those opportunities, and I think one of them he gets home. Like, one of them he's bound to get home on him. So I think Von Miller gets a sack. Let's see. Projecting. This is something new I've been playing this year. I always look at who's healthy scratches and who's inactive. So obviously teams have 53 players on the active roster, and the 53 man active roster, but you can only have 48 active on game day. At least 48. So that means at least 5 have to be inactive / healthy scratches. So I'm going to predict the 5 right now. This is kind of predictive and also a mix of what I would personally do. So yeah. First, MVS, like, I was thinking about this. Like, they only kept 5 receivers, but I think for this game, like, I know it's kind of risky to only go with 4 receivers. If you have even one injury, you're down to 3. Literally, you're starting 3. But for this game, I don't think you need a ton of receiver production. And MVS doesn't provide routing, doesn't provide, like, a 5th receiver, like 4th or 5th receivers you want to play special teams, high special teams contributor. MVS is a 5th, wide receiver 5 is a 5th receiver on any team, but this team specifically related. He doesn't play a lick of special teams. He doesn't provide a lick of special teams anything ability for you. So I have him being inactive as a first out of 5 healthy scratches. Next, center Cedric Van Granger is unfortunate. Is I would have loved to see him be the backup center, but like, Alec Anderson better be ready because he's the backup left guard, he's the backup right guard, he's the backup center. So obviously he didn't beat out Alec Anderson backup center job. You're required to have at least 8 offensive linemen active on game days as part of the 48 active and 5 inactive. So the 8th one would come down to Tylen Grable or Cedric Van Granger. I like the depth we have in the interior, and I don't like the depth we have at tackle. So, like, Alec Anderson and Ryan Van Demark are never going to be inactive. So it's always going to be between Tylen Grable and FVPG. Cedric Van Granger, I feel personally. So he's inactive. Next, defensive end Javon Solomon. Right before I hopped on this podcast to record for you guys, I saw that Javon Solomon wasn't practicing today, being Wednesday, September 4th. So he has an oblique injury and probably out, but I think he would be a healthy scratch anyway, just because, like, I don't know if you want to rush a rookie out there week 1, especially when Casey Twill can do a lot of the same things and maybe more proven in special teams even better. Next, linebacker Balen Spector. I don't think this is even healthy. Like, every week we're going to have this, like, your top 3 linebackers are always going to be, like, active no matter what. Like, Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, and Nicholas Morrow. And then the last couple between Joe Andreessen, Eddie Lufoscio, and Balen Spector, like, one of those guys is always going to be inactive. And then active guy here I have today here is, for this game Sunday against the Cardinals, is Balen Spector. I don't think he's even that healthy. Like I said it before, he's kind of an IR circus, although he wasn't technically actually placed in the IR. Like, you get the point. And Joe Andreessen, like, how can you have him inactive? You know the story from Lancaster, blah, blah, all that. Like, how can you have him inactive for a home game debut, the very first game of the season, is at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park? Like, you can't have that inactive. Like, the story's there, and he's actually he looks to be a big special teams contributor. So, in 5th and final active, this is going to be very shocking, surprising, maybe even at the level of shocking you guys, but some of you out there, most of you out there probably out in slave, if I'm being honest. Safety Mike Edwards. I'm looking for Cole Bishop to be the 3rd safety in some dime packages. And I just don't think Mike Edwards provides much value. Like, he missed all of training camp and all of preseason with a hamstring injury. It's a good sign that they didn't place him on IR. But against the Cardinals here, you don't really, need – yes, against the Dolphins, he'll probably be active. But he's not hopping Cam Lewis. Cam Lewis is a huge special teams contributor and can play outside corner, slot, so it's nickel corner, and safety. He's probably suited safety best, slot corner. And then DeMar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp are your 2 stars, and Cole Bishop looks to be healthy and ready to go. So safety Mike Edwards, I don't think there's much value here. You want your 4th and 5th safeties to play special teams, and Cam Lewis has that lockdown, and he provides much more versatility than Mike Edwards. Okay, I promised you guys in place, I should say, rather, of my Bills big preview that I was supposed to do last week, but again, I had to tend to a personal matter. Sorry about that. But Bills 2024 record prediction. Sorry, I lost it for a minute. Bills record prediction for this year, 2024 versus Cardinals. I gotta go through my. Oh boy, I gotta go through my score prediction. Totally glossed over that. I think the Bills beat the Cardinals 30-20. I think in the fourth quarter it could be something like 24-20, and we're all on the edge of our seat. And then the Bills score a very late touchdown to go up by 10 and steal the game. So Bills win 30-20 against the Cardinals. I'm telling you right now, you lose this game, you're not making the play. Well, there's a pretty small chance you make the playoffs, as you'll see my record prediction. Looking at the rest of your schedule, it is brutal. There's no easy stretch of 2 or 3, maybe 4 games, but there's no stretch of 3 or 4 games where you're like, oh yeah, we can survive that. That's where we can get an advantage. Like, no, this whole thing is pretty brutal. So, versus Cardinals, win. At Dolphins, I know it's at the Dolphins, but not in the day heat. It's at night. It's going to be hot, but maybe it will be like 80, 85, not like 110 degrees or 120 degrees in the field. This is Monday Night Football. I think that's a win. Or that was Thursday Night Football, sorry. And then versus Jaguars. So Sunday they play. 4 days later they play Dolphins, 2-0, I think. And then, in my personal opinion, and then they have an 11-day rest period for the Jaguars. They got to slay this Jaguars demon because, like, they can never beat them. Josh Allen's 0-2 against Trevor Lawrence, 0-2 against the Jaguars as a whole. Don't ask me how they ever lost to Urban Meyer. Josh Allen, I don't want to rehash it. Just don't ask me. And that's Monday Night Football. Win. At Ravens, this is where they go on a skid. At Ravens for Sunday Night Football, loss. At Texans, loss. At Jets for Night Football, loss. So they're 3-3. Me, probably everybody in Bills Mafia is going to panic, but don't worry because I have them with 3 wins in a row after that. Versus Titans, win. At Seahawks, West Coast trip, I think they get a close win. Versus Dolphins, win. So that might be bold, but I think we sweep the Dolphins this year. So we settle at 6-3. Now this is a sneaky one. At Colts, loss. I think Anthony Richardson will blow up this year, and I think this is week 10. So the Colts will kind of be rolling at this point. So 6-4. Versus Chiefs, win. 7-4 versus 49ers Sunday Night Football. This isn't Orchard Park, so I'm gonna give it the win. So we're 8-4 now. But I don't know. This could go either way, like flip a coin. At Rams, hard West Coast trip. They're gonna lose one of these West Coast trips, and it's gonna be the Rams. 8-5. At Lions, like I think the Lions have too much firepower. Like I absolutely love their offense. Like 8-6 versus Patriots. They finished off with 3 division wins in a row. Versus Patriots, win 9-6. Versus Jets, win 10-6. And the final record settled on at Patriots, week 18, win. So I got the Bills in this going 11-6. I think their floor is 9-8. I think their ceiling is 12-5. If you win 9 games, there's a small chance you make the playoffs. You would just need a ton of help. We don't want to mess around with that. Please don't mess around with that. 10 wins, you're probably in, but you need a little help to secure it. 11 wins, you're definitely in the playoffs. So like I said, floor 9-8, ceiling 12-5. But I have them going right towards the top of that, but the middle of that more likely at 11-6. Yeah, let me know your record prediction down in the comments below. What you would do. This is going to be like awesome. I can't believe the season's finally here. You can, of course, watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or, of course, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. This season, I'm going to be ramping up my Patreon. If you would love to support me, I would greatly appreciate that. For just $3 a month, you get extra exclusive bonus content only you have access to, found nowhere else. Again, that is just $3 a month, and you join at patreon.com/aroundtheslice. And yeah, lastly, I'm at 25 subscribers. I would really love to get to 30, like 5 more. I know you guys can do it. So please help me out with that. And lastly, you can follow the show on Twitter at Round the Slice, but most importantly, you can follow me personally on Twitter at A13. I'm well over 400, not well over, I'm over 400, I think it's like 422 followers when I checked this morning. Like I'm building a pretty big community over there, and I tweet about all sports, video games, like stuff I love to discuss with my friends and stuff. Anyway, guys, this is awesome. Like hopefully you cannot lose this game. I'm hammering this home, but hopefully we'll be back. Games September 8th. Monday, September 9th for the recap show. And yeah, it will just go like last year. So Anyway, this year is going to be great for Around the Slice, and I appreciate you guys. This is the first episode of season 3 here on the Around the Slice. It feels so exciting to say that. New season, new football season, new Bills season, new Around the Slice season. So, anyways, guys, I greatly appreciate you wherever you're watching or listening from. I will see you on the next one. Hopefully, a happy episode Monday. But bye.